Hello, my dear students. This is Chapter 9, Lesson 2. What is electricity? Electricity has two types, static electricity and electric current. Let's start with static electricity. What is a static electricity? Static electricity is the electric charge that built up on an object. The electric charge that built up on an object. Now, what do I mean by electric charge? What is an electric charge? To know what is an electric charge, we have to talk about matter. And when I say matter, I mean solids, liquids, and gases. Now, matter is made up of particles. Solids are made up of particles, liquids are made up of particles, and gases are made up of particles. Now these particles, they contain even smaller particles. So the particles in the matter contain smaller particles. Some of them are positive and some of them are negative. Now the positive and negative particles are the electric charges. So all the objects around you, everything, contain positive and negative charges. Positive electric charge and negative electric charge. So everything around you contain positive electric charges and negative electric charges. Now objects have the same number of positive and negative charges. And when an object has an equal number of positive and negative charges, it is called neutral. So objects around us are neutral because they have the same number of positive and negative charges. When the object has more positive charges than negative charges, it becomes positively charged. And when it has more negative charges than positive charges, it becomes negatively charged. So positively charged objects have more positive charges than negative charges. Negatively charged objects, they have more negative charges than positive charges. Both positively charged objects and negatively charged objects, we say they are electrically charged. Electrically charged. And when I say electrically charged, it means they have static electricity. Now objects normally they are neutral, so everything around you is neutral. How do they become electrically charged, or how do they get static electricity? Now look at these two objects. They are neutral. How do we know? Because they have the same number of positive and negative charges. When we rub them together, the negative charges will move from one of them to the other. And one of them becomes positively charged and the other negatively charged. So after rubbing them, they will become electrically charged and they will have static electricity. Now electrically charged objects, they have a kind of force called electric force. Electric force. This force can attract or repel objects. So if I have an object that is electrically charged, or in other words, it has static electricity, this object can attract or repel other objects. Attract means to pull toward, while repel means to push away. Now, if I have two objects that are positively charged, they will repel each other. And if I have two objects that are negatively charged, they will also repel each other. But if I have one positively charged object and one negatively charged object, they will attract each other. So positive and positive repel, negative and negative repel, positive and negative attract. Same charges repel, different charges attract. Now let's watch this video. I have two materials. The green one, it becomes negatively charged when we rub it, while the brown one, it becomes positively charged. So this one negatively charged and this one positively charged. So because he didn't rub it yet, nothing happens. Now when we rub it, it becomes negatively charged, and this one also, it becomes negatively charged. And when I have negative and negative, they will repel each other, as you can see. And here, positive and positive also, they will repel each other. As you can see. Now, negative and negative repel, negative and positive, look, they attract each other, see? And here, positive and positive, they will repel. Positive and negative, let's see what happens when, see? They stick together because they attract each other. So remember, same charges repel, different charges attract. Now let's watch the next video. Now here you have to know that this balloon is negatively charged.
Oh, hi. Rub a balloon on your hair and bring it near another balloon hanging by a string.
So you can see it's pushing it away because this one has also negative charge.
When you rub the balloon on your hair, you're transferring electrons from your hair onto the surface of the balloon. Now, the balloon's made of rubber. Electrons don't flow through it the way they do through a metal wire. Instead, they stay on the surface of the rubber. We use the word static electricity, which means electricity that stays. Now, different materials have different properties. Here's a stiff rubber rod and a piece of fur. It's like rubbing a rubber balloon on my hair. It also will push the balloon away. But watch what happens when I use the same piece of fur and this glass rod. It pulls the balloon toward it. So in the first case, we say they have like charges, like static charges, so they repel. In this case, they have opposite static charges, so they attract.
So like charges repel, opposite charges attract. Now if I have a charged object and a neutral object, and when I say charged object, I mean it has static electricity. It can be positively or negatively charged. And when I say neutral, I mean it has equal number of positive and negative charges. So what happens when I have a charged object and neutral one? The charged object will attract the neutral object. Why? Now let's say I have a positively charged object and I have the neutral object. The positive charges here in the charged object will attract the negative charges in the neutral object. And if I have a negatively charged object and a neutral one, the negative charges will attract the positive charges in the neutral one. So the positively charged object will attract the negative charges in the neutral object, and the negatively charged object will attract the positive charges in the neutral object. Now let's see that in the following video.
Hi, I'm Jared. Welcome to Fun Science Demos. Check this out. How did I do that? What was going on there? Was it magic? No, it was science. Well, what you didn't see me do was rub this straw on this fur and charge it up. Well, what do I mean when I say charge it up? Well, through science, we've discovered that all matter is made of positive and negative charges. And sometimes some of that matter, we can actually rub off only the negative charges. And that allows us to do some really interesting things. Remember, by me rubbing this straw on this fur, I'm putting more negative charges on the straw. And through science, we've discovered that positive and negative charges attract. They come together. Think of it like this. When the charges are different, they want to come together. But when the charges are the same, they want to push apart. And scientists call that static electricity. So now let's take a look at this. So I have a can, and remember we said that all matter is made of positive and negative charges. This can is not charged, so it's made of positive and negative charges.
He means that this can is neutral. So this can is neutral, so let's see what will happen.
Now watch what I do here. I'm going to rub this balloon on the same fur that I rubbed the straw on, and it's going to pick up a whole lot of extra negative charges. What do you think is going to happen when I take this balloon and put it toward the can? Will the can push away, or will the can roll toward the balloon? Let's take a look and find out. Here we go. Negative charges on the balloon. The can is made of positive and negative charges. What just happened there? The positive charges on this can were attracted to the lots of negative charges on this balloon. Let's see if we can do that again and see how fast we can get this can going, maybe race it off the table. Can races with static electricity. So remember we said all matter is made of positive and negative charges, and that also holds true for liquid matter. Here I have a container of water and I have a cup with a hole punched in the bottom. I'm going to fill this cup with water, hold it up and let the water drip out the bottom of the cup, and then hold my balloon up to that stream of water. Let's see what happens. Is the water going to be pushed away from the balloon, or is it going to be pulled toward the balloon? So now I'm going to rub the balloon and charge it up with lots of negative charges. Hold up my cup, and you can see the water is pulled toward the balloon. So what does that mean? Well, I had a lot of extra negative charges on here. What kind of charges attract? Well, opposite charges attract. So that means this water must have lots of positive charges. So what does that mean? That means as I rub the balloon on the fur and I charge it with lots of extra negative charges, if that water is pulled toward the balloon, that water must have positive charges in it. We know that balloons can pick up extra negative charges, but I have to wonder, can other things pick up extra negative charges? So to test this out, we have lines of just torn up little paper called confetti. I have a comb, a plastic fork, and a plastic bat. And instead of using fur, we're going to try using wool, just wool fabric. So let's check it out. Let's start with the comb. Pick the comb up. I'm going to rub the comb on the wool, charging it up with extra negative charges. What do you think is going to happen when I pass it over the torn up pieces of paper? It's kind of jumping onto the comb, but is it really jumping? No. Positive and negative charges attract. It worked okay. Let's try the fork. Charge it up with lots of extra negative charges. Pass the fork over. And you can see a few bits of paper are attracted to the negative charges. Now let's try the plastic bat. We charge it up, and you can actually hear and see the paper stand on end as I wave it over, and it jumps right onto the bat. It didn't jump. The positive and negative charges were attracted to each other. So finally, take a look at this game that we made up using static electricity. We call it sharks and minnows. I have some sharks made of tissue paper hanging from this crate. You could hang them from your desk and let them drape down toward the floor. And then I have a little dish of what I call fish food. It's just the confetti we used in the other demonstration. And then I took the straw we used from the very beginning. I cut out a little styrofoam fish. I taped 2 straws together. Here's the minnow, here are the sharks, and this is how it works. The fish food goes in here. The idea is you have to charge up the minnow straw, getting lots of extra negative charges on this, and I have to try to get some of the food to be attracted to the minnow without getting eaten by the sharks. As soon as the sharks touch the minnow, I'm out. So let's see if we can do this and reach in. He got me. Let's try over here. You got me. Reach in this way. Static electricity could actually be a fun game. Sharks and Minnows. Sharks and Minnows was a game we created using static electricity. Can you create your own game using static electricity?
So as you saw in the video, charged objects attract neutral objects like cans, water, pieces of papers. So this is static electricity. If you have any question, please ask me and we will continue this lesson tomorrow. Thank you.